Well, hello there. My name's Audrina and I'd like to start a new little project by reading you my book, Where Did Your Heart Go? Week by week, one chapter a week, and hopefully A, you'll enjoy it, and B, you might be tempted to buy the book because I'm just going to end up leaving you on odd cliffhangers every now and again with the chapters. So I hope you enjoy having a listen to this. It'll be up on my website and on my Facebook page and via Twitter. So come along, come and join me. I'd love to hear your comments as the story goes on and interact with you as well. So here we are. Where Did Your Heart Go? A novel by Audrina Lane. Chapter 1. On the way to Charlotte's room, I subconsciously rubbed my scar. Faded now, but forever a reminder of my past. I had been at home for about an hour when I heard my teenage daughter rush through the front door, tears streaming down her cheeks. I sighed. Today was going to be a rough day, despite the lovely winter sun shining through the windows. Turning, I pressed the button on the kettle and made us both cups of hot chocolate. I stirred the mixture and then left the warmth of the kitchen. Pausing in the hallway, I caught sight of the last photograph I had of my husband Mark. It sat next to a photograph of our wedding day, and I saw the faraway look in my eyes, a stark comparison to the warmth radiating from his. His kind, sensitive eyes watched me as I climbed the stairs and knocked on the door of her room. "Charlotte, are you okay?" "Go away, Mum," I heard her sob. "Afraid I can't, as I'm holding a large cup of hot chocolate for you." I waited silently for a few minutes as I listened to her sobbing. I heard the sobs subside, and slowly the door opened, and a tear-stained face with puffy eyes looked up at me. "Can I come in?" I asked. "Suppose," she replied grudgingly. I settled on her dressing table stool. Charlotte took her mug and, cradling it in her cupped hand, sat back down on the bed, sweeping a deluge of tissues onto the floor. I resisted the urge to clear them up into the bin. "Is there something up with Craig?" "Yeah, he's just dumped me." "His loss," I replied. I hadn't liked him much on the couple of occasions when he had been over to the house. "Guess," Charlotte mumbled before the tears started to slide down her cheeks again. I handed her another tissue and sat silently as she sobbed. "Mum, why does it hurt so much?" I stood up and closed the gap between us. I gently enfolded her into my arms and sat down beside her. "Because breaking up is painful. Unfortunately, you may go through it a few more times before you meet the right guy for you." "How do you know, Mum? Perhaps I might never meet him." "Yes, I thought that too when I was your age, but I got through it. A broken heart can take a long time to heal," I said, looking away from my daughter's inquiring gaze. I didn't want her to see the dark despair that clouded my eyes as I was transported back to November 1988 and the day my life ended. "Craig was perfect, gorgeous and wonderful, and now it seems I'm not enough for him." "Perhaps I can give you something that might help you get through this," I said, as I remembered my diary I'd found a few months ago. It was all that remained of my first love affair. I paused and my hand reached up to my neck where a chain used to lie. I had worn the St. Christopher for a while, but it was now safely wrapped up in my jewellery box. "What, Mum?" "Wait here a moment, as I'll have to go and look for it." "OK," she replied as she reached for her phone and started to tap out a text to her best friend Julia. I withdrew and crossed the hallway to the small box room that doubled as my office. I went across to my desk and opened the bottom drawer, and after pulling out numerous bills and other rubbish, I found what I was looking for. The faded cover of my purple diary dated 1988. The corners were bent out of shape and the lock had long since broken. I opened it up to see my neat handwriting on the inside cover, saying, "This book belongs to Stephanie March." Surrounding this were numerous hearts and flower doodles. Inside the hearts were the initials SM for JC. Gently I opened the first few pages and skimmed over my childish script. It made me smile as I found myself being drawn back to my teenage years. I still didn't understand why I kept this through the years, but perhaps this day was the reason. All I could do was hope that it would help my beautiful heartbroken daughter to cope with her first breakup. Kneeling on the floor of my office, the memories from the past swirled around in my mind, engulfing me with both intense happiness and devastating despair. Was it the right thing to do to show my daughter that love could be wonderful and magical, but also destructive and deadly? I walked back across the hall and was partly calmed to see Charlotte lounging back against her pillow, phone in hand. She was undoubtedly my daughter with her fair skin colouring, but looking more closely I could see the features that she had inherited from her father Mark. She had his blonde hair and green eyes, which I could only just make out against the red puffy skin. "What's that?" she asked curiously. "It's my diary from when I was your age. It will tell you the story of my first romance and breakup, and I hope it might help you through yours." "Wow, Mum, you've kept this all these years." "Yes, I'm not sure why, but every time I tried to throw it away, something stopped me," I said, remembering how James had thrown my heart away. I turned from my daughter as I was reminded of the fear and pain I felt. He had taken my heart with him and left a hollow space inside me that still ached. Standing in the bedroom, I looked at Charlotte. "Well, aren't you the least bit curious?" Charlotte quirked her eyebrows ironically at my question and started to open the diary. "Oh, so you're waiting for me to leave then?" Charlotte nods and I tiptoe out of the room and shut the door. I walked back downstairs to the warmth and comfort of the kitchen. Leaning against the island counter, I breathed in and out for a few minutes. Pulling open the junk drawer, I rummaged around and found a couple of my antidepressants, as I could feel the darkness starting to creep over me. I had been dealing with this feeling for the last 24 years. I took them and swirled them down with the remains of my hot chocolate as I crossed the tiles and found my favourite chair in the conservatory. An open book lay on the table beside me and the radio was nearby, so I turned that on for company. I worked for the local radio station as a DJ, so it was always tuned in to that frequency. Occasionally I would find Radio 1 on if Charlie had been messing round, but most of the time she enjoyed listening to the older tracks. She had been brought up on a diet of music, as my life had always revolved around it. It seemed to be an afternoon of memories as dusk started to creep over the ice blue sky. I thought of all the times as a child she had danced around the kitchen. I would often join in, and I soon realised she had some talent for performing. She had loved ballet lessons, and now at college she was in a dance group, mixing a fusion of street gymnastics and ballet together, and I was always eager to see them perform. As my dark mood slowly passed, I went back to the cooker and started to prepare some tea. Not sure whether Charlotte would be joining me or not. At least it kept me busy in the meantime and took my mind away from the images that had started to steep in. Well, that's the end of chapter 1. It's a good start, I hope, and maybe it's piqued your interest enough. The book is available on amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. Just search for Where Did Your Heart Go by Audrina Lane and you'll find it there. And I look forward to hearing back from any listeners to this, any comments, any ideas, any suggestions. I'm always pleased to interact with you. So I shall see you again next week. Thank you. Bye bye.